God's Old Testament word this morning is taken from the book of Genesis, chapter 3, beginning at verse 1. Sin at its origin was a challenge of God's authority. Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God really say, 'You must not eat from any tree in the garden'?" The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat from the trees in the garden, but God did say, 'You must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die.'" "You will not surely die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized that they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. The New Testament word for this morning is taken from the book of Romans, chapter 13, verses 1 through 7. Our attitude to authorities is a reflection of our attitude and response to God. Everyone must submit himself to authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, he who rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers hold no terror for those who do right, but for those who do wrong. Do you want to be free from the fear of one in authority? Then do what is right, and he will commend you, for he is God's servant to do you good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword for nothing. He is God's servant, an agent of wrath, to bring punishment on the wrongdoer. Therefore it is necessary to submit to the authorities, not only because of possible punishment, but also because of conscience. This is also why you pay taxes, for the authorities are God's servants who give their full time to governing. Give everyone what you owe him. If you owe him taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor.
Today we're continuing a series we started last week. Pastor Keith kind of began us on this journey as we talk about Twisted, about how Satan, how there's powers that we can't see at work. God at work within us in faith to try and help us through this life, and Satan who's there twisting the truth always to try and wreak havoc and bring destruction in our own lives and the world around us. And today we're going to talk about a real biggie, the biggest one really, and the first one in a lot of ways that Satan kind of brought into this world. And this one has to do with authority. And today is one of those subjects where, man, I tell you what, when I was looking at this and reading through this and thinking about how I was going to talk about this today, I was like, this could easily go 45 minutes. I promise it's not going to go 45 minutes today, okay? But when it comes to authority, from a very young age, all of us kind of respond in this very similar way, especially I think in our culture. We see freedom come out of rebellion when it comes to authority. As long as I rebel against authority, that's how I achieve the freedom that I want to have in this life. From a young age, we do that. When we get older, we get a little more sophisticated. And we start to think, as long as I'll just disregard some of these rules because I'm smarter than that, I'm better than that, and I don't really need to do that. But in a way, it's the same thing. When it comes to authority, we're all the same. Sometimes we like it, and sometimes we don't. We like it when it works in our favor, and we don't like it when it doesn't. We like it when we're in authority, and we don't like it when somebody else is in authority. Whenever it's kind of achieving my needs, and authority can be anything. It can be government, it can be parents, it can be police, it can be your teacher at school. Whoever's been placed above you and has set out some guidelines, some rules, policy, whatever for our benefit is the idea here today. When it comes to police, we're all the same. We like to see him in front of us with the lights on with somebody else at the side of the road, right? And we love that kind of authority. When that jerk that went and pulled off in front of us and tore off down the road, and that cop comes out and we're like, yes, right? Sweet justice. But we don't like it when we see the police officers like this picture. Can I add that next picture? Yeah. We don't like that, right? All of a sudden, authority's like, oh, great, right? Oh, come on, it's just, I'm not going that fast, really, was I? I kind of stopped. And, it's funny, I was talking with somebody and commenting on a bumper sticker we saw, and the bumper sticker said, bad cop, no donut. Have you ever seen one of those? I tell you what, man, you got to be pretty brave to stick one of those in the back of your car, right? The cop sees that, and he's like, I'm following this guy, right? You may have a little bit of laugh about that. Yeah, cops, donuts, or anything like that. But at the same time, there's an underlying kind of current to something like that. Even when we laugh at it, it's a demeaning of authority above us that God has set for us that we criticize, tear down, and I understand the fact that I just made a cop joke sitting across the street from the La Vista police station. We also have many police officers in our audience. It's not meant to be a rip at you, but if you do have a speed trap set up for me after the services outside the parking lot, I'll understand. But authority, though, there's a big twist that we have with it. And here's what it is. When it comes to authority, the first thing that we do is we question the what of that authority. And what I mean by the what, I mean the policies, the rules, the things that they say, here's what you have to do, here's what you're not supposed to do. We kind of question them line by line by line by line. And we decide, okay, which ones apply to me, which ones do I really not need? We do that. We'll disagree with something, and then we decide, okay, if I disagree, if I can disregard this thing that they've said above me, and if I can do it in a way in which I won't get in trouble, then I'm going to discount it. Okay, we disagree, we disregard, and if we're not going to get in trouble, we're going to discount it. And that's the way we go with anything and everybody that's in authority with us. And, it may be small things, like a speed limit. Okay, it says 55, I'm going 60, right? 35, I'm going to go 40, 55, I'm going to go 85, right? We've all seen those people, right? Only seen those, it's never us, of course. But parents, your children, come home at 10 o'clock.